Assalamualaikum and very good day to Madam Suraifa. First of all, my name is Muhammad Syarul Hakimi and my group members are Izzat Amir, Ahmad Zuhai, Muhammad Ryan and Dayan Nur Saleha. Today, we will present our report for DUM 30162 Mathematics for Electrical Engineering. For this assignment, we choose an article from Halakah Daily. The title of the article is about the rising cost of school supplies and how it burdens parents. The article explains that many parents in Kuala Lumpur are worried about because items like uniform, school shoes, bag, stationery keep getting more expensive every year. Here is the link to the article. The article we look at share about parents in Kuala Lumpur who are struggling with the rising cost of school items. Things like uniform, shoes, bag and stationery keep getting more expensive. Normally, parents spend around 200 to 300 for one children, but if they have two or more, the cost can go up to 1,000. This shows the preparing kids for school is no longer cheap and has become a real challenge for many families. The problem here is the parents, especially those from lower and middle income families, feel the heavy pressure of this cost. They already have to think about their daily like food, rent and transport, and now school expense add even more stress. Some parents end up feel anxious just to make sure their children have the basic item for need for school.
The samples of this mock study consists of a group of parents living in Kuala Lumpur who are preparing school supplies for their children at the beginning of the school season. These parents generally spend between RM200 to RM300 per child on essential items such as school uniform, shoes, bags and stationery. However, there are also cases where the expenditure is higher, reaching up to RM400 for one child or nearly RM1,000 for two children in a family. This inclusion of parents with different level of expenditure provide a more realistic picture of how rising costs affect households with various income level and family size. By focusing on this range of spending, the sample is able to represent the actual situation of urban parents who are struggling to balance household expense with the increasing cost of education needs. This variation in spending also highlights the financial pressure faced by families with multiple children, especially those from the lower and middle income groups, and therefore allows the study to capture a broad spectrum of financial challenge experienced by the community. The raw data show the distribution of parents spending on school supply such as uniform, shoes, bags and stationery in Kuala Lumpur. The expenditure range mostly between RM200 to RM400 per child, while some families spend up to RM1,000 for two children. This dataset provides the basis for statistical analysis. allowing us to identify the mean, median, mode, and overall variation in parents' financial burden.
For the presentation of data from the frequency table, we can see the money spent on school equipment for children is between RM200 to RM400. Next, to find the frequency, we need to find how many parents have spent money on school equipment according to the value already in the table of money spent. And we can see that the parents who spend the most money on the school equipment are at RM216 to RM279. Next, to find cumulative frequency, copy the first value frequency, which is 11, then just add the number after that. Next, to find the midpoint, take the value and the money spent square, then add the second value, then divide by 2. The midpoint is the mid value between the two values. Then, to find fx, we just need to multiply the frequency value by the midpoint value, and the sum for fx is 29710. Then to find fx square, also multiply frequency value by the midpoint square value, and the total for fx square is 921,83117.5. 6.2 histogram graph. We will take frequency as the x-axis and lower and upper boundary as the y-axis. We use 2 as the starting value for frequency, and then create a bar according to the data in the frequency table, and from here we can find the mode value, which is 273.5. 6.3 ogive graph. Use the cumulative frequency as the x-axis and upper boundary as y-axis, then mark and connect the point that have been marked according to the value in the frequency data, and we will get the median value, which is 293.5. For analysis and group data, how to find mean, median, mode, variance, and standard deviation in Excel. First, find the sum value. Use the formula equal sum open bracket b5 double dot k14 close bracket, and the value for sum is 29820. And for the mean, also use equal average open bracket b5 double dot k14 close bracket, and the value for mean is 298.2. Then for median, use equal median open bracket b5 double dot k14 close bracket, and the value for median is 295. Next, for the mode, use equal mode.mul open bracket b5 double dot k14 close bracket, and the value for mode is 239, 346, 296, 316, 215. For the variant value, also use the formula equal var open bracket b5 double dot k14 close bracket, and the value is 3223.4343. And for the standard deviation, use equal stdef open bracket b5 double dot k14 close bracket, and the value for standard deviation is 56.775297.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hi everyone, I'm Dayanur Saliha binti Amal Fatha. For my part, I will be presenting 5 sessions, which is 8.0, 9.0, 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3. Based on the data analysis, we have calculated several statistical measures such as the mean, median, mode, variance, and standard deviation. This value help us understand the overall spending pattern. From the result, we can conclude that the spending distribution is relatively consistent, with the majority of the data clustered around the mean value. The small standard deviation also shows that there is not much variation in the spending among the group. In summary, this analysis gives us a clear overview of the spending trend, which can be useful for further decision-making or budgeting purpose. Based on the statement and article, it is clear that price of school supplies have increased significantly. Many parents in Kuala Lumpur now spend between 200 to 300 ringgit just on basic items like uniform, shoes, bag, and stationery for one child. For families with more children, the cost can reach up to 1,000 ringgit. The survey also shows that parents from lower middle class families feel the most stress and worry due to these rising costs. This highlights how the need for school supplies affect different social groups in different ways. Overall, the increase in price forces parents to adjust their budget, which impacts the financial stability of their families. For the histogram, the mode value is 273.5, which means this is the most frequent amount spent. Meanwhile, the octave shows the median value is 293.5, meaning half of the data points fall below this amount. This value helps us understand the common and middle spending amount in the data. We look at how much people spend using two tables, one with all the raw data and one with group data. The group table shows how many people spend in each range and use midpoint to help calculate the average and other numbers. The average spending is about 297. Most people spend between 260 and 279, which is the most common and middle spending range. The number also shows how much spending varies between people. Using both tables help us understand how money is spent more clearly.
Hi everyone, my name is Izzat Amir bin Abidin. For my part, I will be presenting section 9.4, which is the comparison, followed by the conclusion, and finally the reference. So, let's jump to it. I will be presenting the comparison section in the most simple way. So, let's get started. When we compare ungroup and group data, the mean is almost the same. So, grouping does not affect the average much. However, the median becomes lower in group data. For the mode, ungroup data shows several values, while group data produce only one, making it easier to interpret. In terms of spread, ungroup data is more precise, but group data shows a much larger spread due to class interval estimation. Overall, ungroup data is useful for summarizing, while ungroup data provides more accurate details. Let's move on to the conclusion. Based on the analysis, parents in Kuala Lumpur have a heavy financial burden when preparing school supplies. Most families spend between 200 and 400 ringgit per child, while some spend up to 1,000 ringgit for 2 children. The ungrouped data shows a mean of about 298 ringgit and a median of 295 ringgit, while the group data shows a mean of around 297 ringgit and a median of 210 64 ringgit. This means grouping makes the data simpler, but it can underestimate the central value. Also, the spread is wider in the group dataset, which shows how class intervals may distort the variation in spending. Overall, the findings highlight the rising cost of school supplies and its impact on parents, especially those from lower and middle income groups. To help, schools and policymakers could consider measures such as subsidized items, book vouchers, or bulk purchase discounts. Those efforts will reduce the financial pressure on parents and ensure children to have equal access to essential school supplies without straining family income. So that's all conclusion. So here are the references that help us throughout this analysis. For our references, we use one article from Harakah Daily about the rising cost of school supplies and several YouTube tutorials that explain how to calculate variance, mode, and median in Excel. And with that, we conclude our presentation. Thank you very much for listening and goodbye.